Hey, what's going on, My Life God's Way family? I am back for episode 2 of The Church and the Pandemic. Today I have with me two special guests, my friend Keith Williams, as well as this gentleman over here to my left, my godfather, Paul Smith. I brought Keith back because I feel like last week
Back by popular demand.
man, please. Anyways, he's back, whatever you want to tell himself.
Y'all
But
heard it?
whatever he want to tell himself. But I brought my godfather on because he's a deacon in his church, and he's a very intelligent man when it comes to God's words. I feel like he would be an essential aspect to this conversation tonight. Maybe one day we'll bring him back for another episode. We'll talk about pimping in his past life. Nah, just trying to make y'all laugh tonight. But we'll bring him back at a later date.
He gonna get D after this. Oh, it's over for D.
We'll get him to come back on a later date, and we could talk about some other stuff. But tonight, we want to talk about the church. Basically, we just want to kind of pick up what we left off last week. Last week, we talked about the state of the church actually during the pandemic, and how for many churches they really weren't functioning in a very, how can I put it, I wouldn't say positive, but
Up to standard.
If you would put it,
For lack of words.
Yeah, for the lack of terminology. They were stuck in the past. A lot of ministries are still stuck in the past, if you ask me. But I feel like it's never too late to turn around. I feel like if we continue to keep and put our hope in God, and always, have good vision. Let me say that it's important that vision
From the leader of the house.
from the top down, the leader of the house has to have a vision for the ministry. So if the head does not have a proper vision for the ministry, then how can you expect the body to fully cooperate?
Correct.
To fully function in its full potential? It's crazy. Go ahead.
Let me chime in. You're absolutely right, but I feel during the teachings, we have to learn it and we have to know it for ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
It's okay, to look to a pastor
Right.
for advice because he has that anointing. But we need to anoint ourselves
Hello.
in learning and sharing our wisdom with others.
Right.
So if you're anointed and you know the word, it's easier to talk to pastors, other deacons, other friends, other members. But just know that you got to love the Lord and do his will. And once you do that, you're kind of complete. You're kind of complete if you're doing God's will.
Okay. Now y'all see why he on here tonight?
Boy.
I'm just saying, man. You just
Get
almost
all that. That preacher about to come out.
man. You accepting your calling?
Uh-oh. We got a
'Cause
church starting.
Almost caught the ghost.
We might be going the opposite direction. Oh, don't get that one.
I almost caught the ghost. Hey, holy. But when you speak, make sure you kind of speak more into the mic.
Oh, sure.
Let us fully hear what you have to say, Pastor. Keith, what would you say?
He said it for me.
Man, I know
He said it. He said it. That's exactly what I just would have put it in younger terms.
So how would you put it then?
Put it out there.
Come on, talk to us, Pastor.
Nah, never.
And let me tell you something. Never
That
say
ain't my
what
calling.
let me tell you. Never
Hey.
say what you are not going to be, because I did not. I tell anybody,
know.
I did not want to be a minister.
At all. I remember.
But I mean, you can't.
And
You
now-
can't run from what's
now
in
he,
you.
but he running from his church though, y'all. Y'all hear him?
Run
Y'all heard
from
him, but he running from his church.
What
He ain't
church?
ready to open it.
What church?
The church you supposed to open?
I'm not opening no church.
You ready?
Anyways, that would be something else
You
if I
ready?
did start a ministry, though. That
Ooh.
would be crazy.
You ready?
Ready for what?
To open the church.
He's starting mess. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm not fooling with you. Anyways,
All right, listen, y'all. We just gonna have fun.
I mean,
We ain't coming for nobody. We ain't
Oh my
no
God.
disclaimer. We
I'm
just
getting
having
ready
fun,
to,
okay?
I'm getting ready to cut off every angle of this camera
We just having fun.
to my right side, every complete angle. But anyways, back to the topic. So speaking about the church and the pandemic, you made a point and you said that not so much as looking towards, the pastors, but knowing for yourself.
Yes.
You know, let me ask you something. During this period, can you kind of elaborate on things that you would do to kind of, maintain who you are and your faith in God during the pandemic? Because for many people, I feel like they lost hope during this whole coronavirus. I feel like they could not see beyond what they could see. And for us as believers, it's imperative that we operate in our spiritual vision and not the physical vision that,
What if
you know,
what if you don't got a spiritual vision?
I feel like that's what makes the role of a pastor very important. I feel like that's why we go to church. If you're not going to church to, see, for me as a minister, when I get up there to proclaim the gospel, whether I'm speaking to somebody that's 90 years old or 15 years old, for me, my job is to make sure that this person does not leave the same. That does not always happen.
Correct.
But I do feel like this, even if a person, the seed is planted, it may not happen today.
But it'll happen.
it may happen.
When they're going through something. They remember.
They'll
what
remember.
you
Because
said.
I can tell you many times to where I felt like when I was speaking, nobody was listening. But then we have to ask ourselves, a lot of times in like the black church, we kind of get this notion that when a person's up there preaching or teaching, if nobody's saying anything,
That mean it
then
ain't going- it
it's
ain't
knocking
getting
on deaf ears. But you have to ask yourself, maybe they just listening.
Maybe they just
Maybe
listen.
it's, I mean, seriously,
Everybody learn a different way.
everybody learns
everybody
differently,
doesn't
and
learn
maybe
the same.
it's that good.
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you something. Me and my wife, it was funny. Last Sunday we watched this message, and the message was from Pastor Michael Todd, and he was talking about stewardship and talking about tithing and things of that nature. Now, for many times let me just put myself out there. I have complained and said church is too long. This man, now this was just a message. He preached for 90 minutes.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that?
He preached for 90 minutes. What I tell you, my right hand up to God, it did not seem like it.
Best 90 minutes you ever heard.
It's the best 90 minutes I have ever said. 90 minutes. Now that's a long time to be, but then you have to ask yourself, and when you look at most mega churches, their pastors aren't up there for 10 minutes and 15 minutes.
No, they're not.
They're up there for an hour
Yeah,
because in their mind,
they need that hour.
I need this hour to fully break down what you really need to grasp and understand in order for you to walk into your full potential and your purpose on this side of life.
Now stepping into an armor bearer role
Okay.
or an adjutant role.
Here we go with this adjutant
Oh
again.
my God. So
Have you ever heard of an adjutant? You've heard of an adjutant?
stepping into the role. So y'all give y'all pastors an hour
Okay.
to get out what they technically should have studied all week. So a week they studied every day all week, and you get them an hour to get it out. And sometimes they don't get it all out,
Right.
even though they try to. Sometimes but if you this crew here, if somebody didn't study, we know.
Right.
You didn't study if you did study, but basically an hour. They feel like they should get longer than an hour, but an hour is something that maybe people grasp just being in church for a
Okay.
little while longer for an hour, because nowadays people don't want to be in church for 4 or 5.
I'm glad you said that. Now, twofold. You want to say something real quick? Go ahead.
A shepherd should know his flock.
Sure.
Speak more into.
You should know what your church like, their feelings, and that's with communication. I should want to talk to you to say, well, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
But a shepherd should know his flock. I mean, I know sometimes I'm like a little kid. I'm amped up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit still. But, I just, while I'm there, hey, God, just calm me down and let me receive the word. And I think that's something that, and I'm not saying a lot of pastors don't know their flock, but to me, a shepherd should know his sheep. So I'll put that back to you guys, and you take it from there. But it was one thing I did want to add.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy told me something that really resonated with me before he died. He says there's 2 steps to wisdom.
Okay.
One is silence, and the other one's listening. So now I get what you're saying about 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just re-energizing me to know, hey, if you got a man up there and he's preaching the word, you sit back and you listen.
Right.
Again, first part is silence, and the second part is listening.
Okay. Now, that's good.
I'm about
Now,
to take that.
I wanna.
I'm using that, Pops. I'm using that.
Write that down. Now, let me ask you all something. Now, I recently had not a meeting, but I kind of linked up with a friend of mine's, and it out of the conversation came, we spoke about different ministries out of state and how they were excelling, and we were thanking God for these ministries and the impact that they're having on the world. Now, what came up in the conversation is it's harder to pastor a church in California than anywhere else, because when you think about California, you have many things that are obstacles when it comes to reaching people. When you're trying to reach people, but you fighting against the Staples Center, you fighting against soccer stadiums. Now we got a football stadium. Everything out here we have 2 or 3 of. Now these are things for people to constantly go to and engage with. So that was brought up in the conversation that it's hard for ministers and pastors to actually pastor out here and to draw in people when there's so many other distractions.
Who first? Who go first? You want to go? Okay.
Go ahead. So what do you all think about that?
I'm double-sided. So here's why I'm double-sided. From working in a church, I know that people, they go to
Okay.
what they want to go to.
Oh,
They're going to go to
okay.
what they want to go to. They will make time to go to what they want to go to.
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely. There are a ton of things out here in LA to do. Absolutely, without a doubt, right? Yet, in LA, and I'm not saying that you have to do, like, this goes back to what Pop said. You have to know your flock, right? But younger people needs creativity. They need something to come to. They need something different. It cannot be what once was, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
It cannot be what once was. It needs to be something that's going to grasp their attention, because the world is grasping their attention, for sure. The world is doing everything possible to get the attention of the younger generation, right?
So, yes.
So I'm not saying the pastor got to run through hoops or hula hoop, but you got to do something different,
right,
than just assuming because you are who you say you are,
okay,
that the people are just going to immediately come to your church, because it,
right,
truthfully, just like there is tons of liquor stores in LA, there are tons of churches in LA.
Very much so.
The question is, what are you doing that's different than the church that's across the street from your church?
Right.
That's going to make me say, I know that they got all this going on at the Staples Center. Or I know they got all this going on in Hollywood. But right now, I need to be at
Right.
34 for this church.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
And that I absolutely agree with, the first part of what you said. When people want to be somewhere, they will be there.
Absolutely.
It does that. I completely 1,000% agree with you on, because that's just the truth. Like, even for me, if it's something I don't want to do,
You're not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna do it. I don't care how many times you can text me 20 times, call me 100 times. If it's something, and let me say this, I have not always been like that.
Right.
In my younger years of life, I felt like I had to. I'm still a young man. That's why I said younger. Younger.
Don't be trying to.
But no, I
Don't
felt
age
like
us.
I felt like I had to please any and everybody. And let me tell you something: you can't operate in life like that.
No.
Because if
You'll
you continue
leave
to
yourself out.
if you continue to do that, what will happen is you'll find yourself being drained, because it's 3 individuals here at this table. If I continue to pour myself into you and nobody pours themselves into me, eventually I'm gonna be empty. I'm gonna be worn out, because I'm pouring everything that I have into building up what you got going on and helping you. And not saying that that's not what we're supposed to do, because we're brothers.
Right.
We're supposed to be there for each other.
Right.
But with anything in any relationship, there has
There's
to
a
be
time and a place.
there's a time and a place, and there also has to be a balance.
Correct. Absolutely.
So even when it comes to ministries and churches, one thing that I've seen, even in the area of where the church that I belong to is like you said, there's a church on every corner. Why is there a church on every corner?
Don't start nothing.
Let me tell you,
Because everybody want to be the. This my church.
Well,
I want to be the boss.
well, there's a lot of chiefs and no Indians.
Ooh.
We hear it and we say it all the time, but that's the truth. There's a lot of chiefs and no Indians.
Everybody want to run the
And
show.
let me tell you something.
Nobody want to follow the show.
Exactly.
Or just be a part of the show, or just pushing someone else's show forward.
Right. Because, and let me tell you what's so crazy. I just saw there's 2 churches in Baltimore, Maryland. One called I-5 City and one called Destiny Church. What's amazing about these 2 ministries are both of them are excelling individually.
Okay.
Members are coming in every Sunday. People's lives are being changed. People are getting baptized. Like this is what church is supposed to be about. You're supposed to come there to get either
You're supposed to come to get changed.
Come to get
church
changed.
is a hospital,
It's the hospital.
and everybody's on a different level.
right. Now, what's amazing about this is normally you wouldn't find 2 ministries that's already excelling coming together and saying, well, let's make both of these churches one. I just saw that this week. That blew my mind because in many situations, that's not what you see. When we see something like that happen, which that's rare, that 2 ministries will come together for whatever reasons and say, let's operate as one church now instead of 2. It's rare.
For sure.
But when it does happen, like we've seen it happen out here in Los Angeles recently at one of these Baptist churches, they joined with another church, which I felt like was great. From what I was made aware of is that both of the ministries felt they would be of a better impact together than separately.
And
I respect to the utmost.
You're better together, for sure.
You're better together. That I respect to the utmost, because why should you allow yourself to struggle Sunday after Sunday after Sunday and let it be 10 churches amongst 5 blocks instead of making 2 or 3 churches amongst these 10 or 5 to 10 blocks? I feel like you would be more effective.
You can do more together too.
Right.
And you can do more together. Now, you were going to say something in regards to I believe the stadiums and stuff like this.
That was key. But, he is right. I personally don't compare any stadium to church.
Right.
If I have to make that decision, it's going to be church. And you know, I may not always want to do that, but
Right. Right.
I know that I have to live up to what God wants for us.
Right.
And as we said, a team, you know, together everybody achieves more. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so
Right.
I think that's beautiful. Churches uniting together. We just came off Black History Month, and I see it every year, and I watch it. And I find something new every year, and it's really heart wrenching. Sometimes I don't like to see it on how blacks were done back in the day. But it's one thing that those blacks never did. They never failed at praising God. And I think that's where my generation
We've kind of
on
fallen
down,
short.
right, have we lost.
We're
our
easily
way.
discouraged.
Right, we lost our way. I mean, it would be nice for us to unite, to go do Black Lives Matter. But as I say, it's still on the individuals. We got to stop doing silly things. You know, like I tell my sons, don't be out here drag racing and what do you call that when they spinning in the street?
Donuts.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Don't do that, because you do it, you probably gonna hit and kill somebody.
You're gonna be the one in trouble,
Right.
and everybody else gonna be gone.
Mm.
So here's my question though, Pop, because you opened the door to something that I want to just touch.
What's up?
Where do you think the ball, so to say, was dropped on uniting our us helping each other
As far as a race,
as far as a race? Pop
You
said
wanna-
that somewhere we dropped the ball was dropped. What do you think? What do you in
I have something, but go ahead.
what do you think the ball was dropped?
Drugs.
Okay.
Drugs.
Okay.
My generation, let me back up, probably my sister's generation, she's a little older than I am, were introduced to the crack cocaine. You know, even when I'm trying to minister to some of my clients and tell them, the best thing I can give you is my time. I don't have to have money. You know how many things we could do for free and have just as much fun as paying hundreds of dollars to go to Disneyland? And I just feel we need to give each other time. I know it's been hard for us these past
Right.
Pandemic,
few, right.
trying to stay above water.
So I think we need to, what's that song? The song's coming to when Jesus he washed our sins away.
Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Come on, Sister Act.
We need to go back. Like you said, wash our hands, wash our souls, and quit pointing the finger at each other. You know,
Right.
I'm happy. Like I say, I'm happy you got that big, beautiful car.
Just
We should be happy for people when you see them coming up.
Right.
You know, and the Bible tells you, do not covet thy neighbor. I like his wife. Oh, I like that
Uh-oh.
Benz. You know, we need to, stop that. Oh, he's got a bigger house than me.
Right.
I'm grateful. I tell my wife all the time, we in Beverly Hills.
Hello.
You know, your house is what you make it.
Now
You
that's
go out
the
there and
truth.
Keep it clean.
Right.
absolutely,
You water the grass.
because that zip code over there got a different tax bracket.
That's right. So
Okay, D, go for it.
Oh, man, I almost forgot.
Where do you think we dropped the ball? Where did the ball was dropped?
That's what I was gonna say. So where?
not cutting you off.
Go ahead.
The drug pandemic been around a lot longer.
Then the coronavirus.
That's right.
But you know what though? You saying something there, and we going into something totally different. But let's stay here real quick. So where I feel us as a race have kind of dropped the ball in our churches, as well as in our homes and other things, we failed to hold each other accountable.
But we don't know how.
We don't.
You know,
Or
It's
can't-
accountability amongst us is taboo
But
because
how can
what
I tell you if I've never done drugs?
right.
I need to go get somebody that's done it, that cleaned
Right.
up.
But see, that's the thing though. Why do we feel like we can't? Because there's a many people now. It's not everyone, but there are a lot of people who, once they make it out of something, they're afraid to talk about where they come from and to help somebody. Because guess what? If for 20 years I've done crack, as a believer, some part of this journey I should get some strength of knowing where I was, where I am now, and how to help somebody to come through it. But we are too ashamed to admit where we come from. But it is what has made us who we are today.
Yeah.
But see, we don't want to see
I
that.
hope
But
y'all
see
getting
that.
this tonight.
But see
Woo.
that. But see, that's where accountability comes in. Because let me tell you something, and both of you all should know this about me, and that's one thing I love. For instance, I talked to you about this the other day, and it came out of nowhere, and I said it's amazing. I've now known you for 15 plus years that we've consistently had an ongoing relationship of hanging out and just talking on the phone, clowning about a many of things, just really building a real brothership outside of you becoming my godfather, essentially, and one thing I can say about who we become is we hold each other accountable. Many a times we joke and we laugh and we do all those things, but we keep each other's best interests at heart. Like I remember when I first wanted to go into law enforcement, and I remember you helping me throughout the whole process. Like, if this you want to do, you talked to me. I don't even know if you still remember, but you just you kept me encouraged to not do the wrong things, so that when it was time for you to go through the background process and everything, that who you are will still be who you need to be in this department, because you're going to be around people who are going to try to change you and persuade you to be many other versions of somebody else. But the best thing we can ever do to society is be the best version of ourselves, because the next man or woman is already taken. So Keith, what he brings to the world is what Keith brings to the world. Don't try to be nobody else but Keith. Me, I've learned to just be me.
We all got a
And
part to play.
We all have a part to play. But see, so many times we live in a copycat generation. And speaking about the church, we have a lot of copycat ministries.
that want to do the same thing or want to be better than.
Well, a lot of
I could do that better than your church can do.
there. Well, see, there's a lot of folds to that. Because there are some churches that will see somebody else doing something and say, well, I like what they're doing. We can do it too. But then everybody's mindset is not going to be the same. So for one person's intentions may be good, but another person's intentions may be something completely different. Meaning, let me break it down. If this table consists of the house of God that we just built, the worship place, you're the pastor, you're the deacon, I'm the trustee. Now, let me set the stage here.
Okay.
Now, starting this ministry, obviously we talked to God about it. God has given us the blueprint to do ministry.
God has given us or him.
Well, he has given him. I'm glad you made that very
Okay.
clear. Because what a lot of people don't understand too is that when you are a member of a church or even a part of the leadership team, when you're serving God, but you also serving the vision of the
house.
pastor.
Okay.
People don't understand that. That's why it's important that, see, you can't be a member of everybody's church. Because the vision that everybody's serving up is not for you.
So maybe is that the reason why we have so many churches? It's because we were serving in somebody's ministry, but we thought we got a vision from God
To go,
and do something
that
different.
could be.
But that's the deal.
That could be.
Quit serving man and serve God. I don't go there because of who the pastor is.
Right.
Okay.
I go there because that pastor reaches my mind
Mm-hmm.
In your heart.
and my heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we as people got to stop. You got mess in every church. Don't
Very
think-
much so.
Don't think
Very much
your
so.
church is without fault. You got mess in every church.
Right.
So why should I leave my church and go over here and you got a mess over here too?
Okay.
So I'm basically saying we have to stop. Well, I don't like what they did. You're coming to get the word
Right.
of God.
Right.
Coming to help build up,
Right.
help build up the kingdom of God.
That's right.
At the end of the day,
Right.
that's what's important.
And you got to find your niche within that. If you like working with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
if you like singing, I love singing, but I wouldn't go in the choir and do a solo role.
You know what? That's funny you say that. You know how many people I feel are operating in a gift
That ain't theirs.
that's not theirs. Because let me say this, and I want you all to help me with this because I've struggled to understand it. Now, in many of our churches, we're not dealing with professional singers. You
Okay.
you understand
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, and I've directed a choir.
Has.
I've directed a choir. Now, I'm not saying that I'm
The
James
best.
Cleveland.
Okay.
I don't want to be. I really don't want to be James Cleveland. I
Okay.
want to be myself. I
Okay.
really do. But why is it that people feel like just because they want to sing,
They should sing.
they should sing
you're
And they
right.
gon' sing.
in the choir?
You're
But
absolutely right.
that is not their gift. And the reason why I say it's not their gift, because I feel like anything that we are gifted in, we'll be good at.
Maybe they don't know what their gift is.
Once again, I feel like that's the shepherd's job. See, when we teach the word, I feel like God gives us insight to teach the word
And put people in certain places.
To put people in certain places so that they may operate in their purpose.
Okay, but what if I don't like? I'm gonna play the bad guy on this one. So
Please.
what if I don't like that you put that person in that place, and I thought I should have been in that place because that's what
You
I
want,
like.
you want my honest opinion on that?
Absolutely. You
Let
need no.
God handle it.
Now you
Absolutely.
said, now you,
That's the best way I can, because I'm sure that's in every church.
oh,
For
oh
sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
oh yeah.
Why was he picked?
Right.
Why would?
Now you said let God have it. Y'all can call me petty, but you know what I'm gonna say? That's a personal problem.
It is.
It is.
And I'm not
it
trying
is
to sound funny.
No. It is a personal problem, but like Pop said, that's what's in a lot of churches.
Oh, it's in a lot of ministries.
And that's what stops a lot of churches from growing or elevating because I want that person's job, right? I want that job.
Right.
And so because I want that job and I didn't get that job and I thought I should have got that job, now I'm going to be the one being dysfunctional, and I'm going to go and find the dysfunctional crowd,
Right. Uh-oh.
and I'm going to make
Uh-oh.
a mess of
A mess. Let me tell you something. Y'all speaking today. You over here with this knowledge and you coming with this knowledge. Y'all about to pass the collection plate, man.
Well, I might take that.
Oh my God. But no, in all seriousness, you said something. And it's crazy. You said that people will get upset and decide that they want to go and start messing, something like this. I feel like this is what separates the individuals who are in the church that are for the betterment of the church, and then the individuals who are only there to make sure that the church stays stagnant or to tear it down.
or it's about me.
Personal. But see, this is where spiritual maturity comes from. I'm always going to throw myself out there.
Okay.
Now, for people in the church that I go to now, some people came up to me and they couldn't understand why I stepped back from directing the choir, and I decided to find someone else to direct the choir.
Okay.
Now, because of my relationship with God, I knew, and the love that I have for this ministry, this church, I want to see it at its best. I realized that I could not do that. Everyone can admit that.
Yeah.
Everyone can admit that in their whatever board, auxiliary you on, people will stay in the way to keep a title and to be called somebody.
Or wait, hold on. At this, without giving up nothing.
Okay.
At the same time,
Okay.
the pastor may know that it's time for that person to go, but because that person is a yes man or gonna give that pastor what that pastors want,
You got something to say.
or
You-
No,
He's right.
Yeah.
He's
he-
absolutely right.
So he knows, but he keeps that person in place because that person has worked up until this time.
Right.
And so sometimes it's not the people.
Right.
Sometimes it comes from the head. So when it comes from the head, what do you do?
Well, that's why I say, and I always try to be transparent.
Right.
You know, I can speak for no pastors. I don't pastor a church. I just think if you're doing God's work and His will and you're being transparent and you're being fair, those are problems that you won't have.
Okay.
Okay. And I always say it's a process of elimination. That person that probably trying to get your job, God will remove them somehow, some way, especially if they're not being honest. I want it just because I want to have that notoriety. I'm better suited sitting way in the back
And letting
getting
God deal with
myself
it.
right. You know, so really, I think how we could really straighten out a lot of things are exactly what we're doing now. When we have meetings,
Right.
the church should come in to the meetings. You should be able to express yourself without being ridiculed. You know,
Right.
if I have a serious problem, I remember, and this was years ago, and I was a little boy. My uncle, he was in the Navy, and you know, soldiers drink. And my grandmother kept telling me, brother, you need to go to church. This one Sunday morning, he'd been out drinking all night. He showed up in church.
Lit.
And pastor said, we need to preach to every living creature. And my uncle, drunk, stood up. You preach to a fly?
Right.
And you know, it staggered the pastor for a minute. And he told him, yeah, if you want to talk to that fly, you talk to that fly.
Right.
But the thing was, it reached my uncle to know that he is supposed to be fair and right, service his church, set him down. And my grandmother, she said she just was sliding down in the
Right,
chair,
right.
you know, because she was embarrassed.
Right.
But the congregation listened and they chimed in because they all learned something. You know, me telling you preach the gospel to every living creature, well, most people, if they didn't know, wouldn't have known. They would have, oh, well, he's just talking about human beings.
Right.
No, you rubbed your dog and told your dog, I love you, you know, and scratched his back. You've had pets. And we should. It shouldn't be a thing. I shouldn't be afraid to say, hey, man, have a good day. Love you, bro.
Right.
And that should be genuine. You know, because I'm certainly not going to tell somebody I don't particularly care about. You know, I'm not
Right.
gonna
Oh,
lie
we know.
I'm not going to lie to him.
Right. Right.
Right.
You know, but I'm human, and we all make mistakes. You know,
Right.
and I'm working on, as we know, one of those to this day, forgiveness and trying to do the right thing, especially when you don't want to and you want to fight. You know, you got to walk away, and I don't want it to sounding hypocritical, but I do. As I get older, I am learning to walk away and let God take care of that, and He has.
Bible
And
say,
he has.
"Vengeance is mine," says the Lord.
And He has.
He
He
will.
preaching up in here, y'all. He preaching.
He has.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Now, how long are we gonna do this? Because I don't want to be long. I want to keep it to the point, and we get off. And then
No,
get
yeah,
back
we.
to this. No, I mean, you guys got me excited.
Let me tell you something, y'all. I'm about to clown him real quick, cause this is what we do. We do this all the time.
So,
So if I'm ever laughing, probably in church, he probably texts me something funny. I'm gonna put you on the spot. This one, but this is just what we do. It's brotherly love. This is we enjoy each other's company. But he telling me he ready to end the podcast because he got a curfew.
Break down.
You know what? Now, if you have to be in the house, man, but see what you didn't know is I already
got a permission
already
slip.
got a permission slip for you. So you got at least 30 more minutes before the
down.
lights come on.
Break down.
Let me stop playing. But no, in all honesty, I'm grateful for this conversation tonight
Grateful.
because and I'm gonna have segments about friendship. I was just telling Shannon today that I want to have a complete series of podcast episodes talking about sex because I feel like with sex in the church, it has become taboo.
Ooh, I was just about to say that's a taboo.
It's very taboo. We don't want to talk about it, but we leave the world
To teach our kids.
to teach our children, to teach and adults
Let me
about
shoot this
sex.
to y'all.
And a lot of things. There's a lot of many conversations I want to have on this podcast, and we'll get to them
Shit.
on dates.
It's funny that you bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to hear a younger perspective.
Uh-oh. Want some
I
pointers?
think, I think it's,
You want some pointers, man?
I probably don't forgot all that you just now getting to.
Nah, let me stop.
I think it's more or less the younger crowd coming in to talk to the older crowd about sex, about girls, about children. And I just like to know, I got two young brothers here that are fathers. What would be your stance in talking to your kids at that appropriate age? Or when they hit you up about it?
Right.
What would be your stance or what would be your take?
Well, let me make you laugh because my wife, she always says, I'm very... She said, now, I want you to remember when you say things about, little girls and Aiden, I want you to be that same way when we have a daughter. And she says that I can't remember how she put it, but essentially with Aiden dating, I don't have a problem with it. But then when we have a daughter, it's like World War III and we come out with the guns and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because that's one thing it's amazing to me about, when you have a good wife is that they bring that good insight that you need from a woman's perspective. And I didn't really
Think about it.
think about it. But when you tell, because let me say this, not telling them, but you show them, that it's okay for the boys to do this, but it's not okay for you.
the girls.
So it's almost like you're respecting and reverencing one over the other, and that's not the case, But I know for us men, we hold our daughters close to our hearts,
They are babies.
They're our babies.
For sure.
But, and it's crazy because me and my wife, we was having this conversation talking about, when our children get of age and having the same conversation with our son as we would with our daughter. And I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'm not giving my daughter no condom. But that was just the male part of me. I was just like, when I have a daughter, when she turns 15 or 16, I'm, how uncomfortable that's going to be for.
Ooh, that's early.
But you'd be surprised how many people in families, they will give their son at 15 and 16 a condom,
for sure.
contraceptive,
No, absolutely.
and say protect yourself.
Absolutely.
But they don't do the same thing for the daughter. Then they get upset when the daughter comes home pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But you never prepared her. Now, I used to have this stance that, absent and having no sex before marriage is always going to be the safest way.
Right.
You know,
I was about
that's-
to throw
that's-
that in there.
yeah,
we,
no, that's-
we ain't. Don't say
having-
we done it, but that's what you're supposed to do.
So having abstaining before marriage is going to always be the best thing.
Absolutely.
It's never no under that, over it. To
That's
the
what
side.
it is. That's
It's
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Yes.
It's going to always be the best route.
For sure.
But what happens when that you veer off you get off the track?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we have to hold ourselves to the same standard with our daughters as we do with our sons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just let your family come talk to me at the same time. They can get the right
Wow.
perspective. They can get the right perspective.
I see. You know what? Mama said it was gonna be days like this.
So my stance is
You ready for me to write them notes down?
my stance.
You said you
need
needed
the
some,
notes,
some
Pops?
pointers.
You
We
need
was
the notes?
talking about.
You ready?
That last notes I got from were totally wrong.
Wow.
My stance is so I'm not ready to talk to
Sure.
my son nor
Right.
okay, but I'm with D. We do have to hold ourselves to a standard that they both are able to live by and take it and be because you don't want her coming home pregnant, nor do you want him to get somebody pregnant, even though the kid goes to the mom or however the society try to make it.
Right. No.
But I'm not gonna. I was having a conversation not too long ago with someone. I want to say some of my friends, and we were talking about how kids in between 1st and 5th grade are aware of sexual conduct because of social media. And so I brung up, because I can only bring up my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my kid, I'm gonna say Kyle. Kyle don't know nothing about that, and Kyle's he's up in the age, and they go, well, how do you know he don't know? I go, well, the reason why I know he don't know is because when certain stuff comes on,
Mm-hmm.
I either ask questions or when I hear, like, if you know me, I'm paying. I could be doing something else, but I'm paying attention. Kyle, cut that off. You don't need to be watching that. I don't care, because even on kid YouTube, there's cussing
That I didn't know.
on kid YouTube,
I did not know.
and
that.
they don't catch it all the time. So I'm listening the other day, and I'm like, Kyle, what you watching? YouTube. I heard the lady cuss.
Right.
Kyle, cut that off right now. You don't need to be listening to that.
I was what? I said, you two had relationship.
Uh-oh.
How you know? Said I didn't, but you just
told me you did.
You know? So what I'm saying is I tried to bring